There we
Great.
go. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, so my name is Erin Livers, and I am excited to get to speak to your group today. When Kathy and I were talking about what topic I might speak about, I had the idea of talking about different body types because um, when people talk about what's the best diet for me or what are the best foods to eat for me, what I've realized over the years of working with body types is that if I'm recommending the same thing for everybody, it's not appropriate for everyone. And at least this way, with when you understand your body type, you can better understand not only what to eat, but how to eat to feed yourself in a way that really supports you, helps you to maintain a healthy weight and boost energy and be in a relationship with food that really feels good to you. So sometimes I have clients and we talk about, well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I might have clients who say, I just don't feel hungry at breakfast time in the morning. If that person is a body type that needs to eat breakfast in the morning, then I'm going to encourage that and I'm going to explain why they don't feel good eating breakfast in the morning. And we work on that for their body type. But there are other body types that don't need to have breakfast right away or don't need to eat a lot of food in the morning, which kind of goes against some of the nutrition principles that we think about when we just go out to the internet and research, what would be a good way for me to eat. So it's been very illuminating for me to work with people with different body types and help them to support their health in relationship to their body type. So the first thing I would like to do, and we might need to unmute to do this, is I would like to find out what body type everyone is. And I'm just going to go through and I don't know if I can unmute everybody. I think all I can do is mute everybody. So you might have to unmute yourselves. But just one at a time, if you took the body type quiz that was sent out, what body type are you? And if you're unsure, let me know why you are unsure, and we can talk about that because sometimes it can be a little difficult to figure out what type you are. So, Kathy, do you want to start? What body type
Oh,
are you?
oh, sure. I ended up being thyroid type,
A
which
thyroid
didn't,
body type, which I will
yep,
abbreviate and call a T type.
T type.
And so a
Okay.
thyroid type or a T type, I'm also a T type, and that is the most common body type. So
Mm-hmm,
great. Good to know. Good to know. So,
mm-hmm.
Dorothy, what body type did you determine that you are?
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to take the quiz. I didn't think I was
Okay,
going to be able to make the meeting.
sure. So let me know if I can ask you two questions. We might be able to figure it out because I can
Okay.
see you shoulders up. So I already suspect that you might also be a thyroid body type. And would you say that your shoulders and your hips are about the same width apart and that you then have kind of a defined waist? And if you think to answer this question, I want you to think back to a time when you were your a weight that felt comfortable to you back maybe when you felt healthy. Sometimes people pick a time frame that's like college or early 20s or later 20s, something like that to answer these questions because your body type doesn't change, but your shape may change. And sometimes that makes it a little hard to figure out what type you might be.
I would say yes to that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And would you say that you're kind of fine boned, like you have smaller wrists and ankles? And
No, not really.
can I see your wrists? Okay. Yeah, sure. And then tell me, for the bulk of your life, when you get up in the morning, do you feel like having breakfast, like you have an appetite and you feel like you need to eat a larger meal?
No. I'm not a big breakfast person. I mean, I'll eat it because my husband likes to cook breakfast, but I could go without it.
Sure. And if you could go without breakfast, would you say that that your body you tend to be a bit of a pear shape? Would you say that you have broader hips?
Yes.
And when you gain weight, would you say that you gain weight mostly below your waist, like on your thighs and your butt and your lower belly versus your
Yes.
upper body?
Yes.
Okay, so you might be a G type or a gonadal body type. So when I'm describing all the types, just kind of pay attention and see which one you're attracted to, but
Okay.
just know that I think you're a gonadal body type.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
So, Mary Lou, which body type are you?
Well, I have to tell you that I started doing quiz, I guess I'll call it, and I looked at the photos. I'm probably the one person in a room or a class that is weight, basically. So
That
I'm
is
not
what?
trying to underweight. I'm
Yeah, so you are very likely a thyroid body type. So what I can see of
okay.
you, I definitely think you're a thyroid body type. And I am similar. My whole life, I've always been underweight.
Yes, I sort of misspoke when I said that. I'm underweight now. My doctor's, like, you're underweight, you got to gain weight. And I was always probably the right weight, but never overweight. But now I'm I've got lost weight. I lost weight over the years, and I'm try every day to gain weight.
Well,
So
and you will have some techniques and understand that better once you hear the presentation. And at the end, if you have any questions, I'm going to leave, 15 minutes or so at the end for questions. So, let me know if you have questions at that point.
okay, I probably will.
Yeah, great. Cindy, what type are you?
When I originally took the quiz, I couldn't decide if I was a G type or a T type, but I guess I went with my gut and I went with the bigger one because I do have like a bigger abdomen area. And then I mostly gain my weight around the hips and the lower stomach area. So I'm not too thin and I do have strong, arms and bones and stuff like that. And my muscles are very, well, I've been eating better too. So because I was underweight, like Mary Lou said she was, and I wasn't eating enough and I was over exercising and neglecting my body basically. And I was trying to gain weight. So I'm up to maybe 142, 143 now, I would say.
Yeah, so
So
would you say that normally you're rather a P shape, so or a pear shape, so that you have, a smaller upper body, a nice defined waist, but you've got bigger hips?
right, or bigger lower stomach that hangs a little bit. So when I took the quiz, my result was a adrenal type. Because I do have hormonal issues with the piece of polycystic ovarian syndrome and perimenopause, and of course the cortisol levels. Let's think that because I researched it afterwards, so I don't know if that plays a role with that too.
Right. And
The
so we're
stress.
not necessarily talking about our hormones or our hormone issues. We're really talking about our body shape.
Okay, so
So, for an A type, you would have really broad shoulders and more of a narrow hips.
no, my shoulders are not that wide or anything. So
So your shoulders, are they the same width as your hips?
yes, they are.
And then would you say you have larger hips and say a larger butt?
No, I don't have a larger butt, but I don't know if I can stand. You probably can't
You
see from.
can. That would be helpful, and we can look and see what's happening here.
I'll try to put my camera a little lower.
Yeah, so it may actually be that you are a T type.
A T type. See, I don't have a big butt.
But you do have a butt, and A
I do
types
have a
or
butt.
adrenal body types tend to have a flat butt.
Oh, so you said I have a T. I'm a T type then.
I think you might be a T type. So you might
Huh.
go back to the quiz, and just from answering the questions, you might
Okay.
see that you have more T
Mhm.
type answers.
Okay. So I'm gonna probably redo the quiz and maybe
Yeah,
I'll get
well,
back to
and
you
when I
later.
start describing the different types, you may notice that you are identifying with one type more than the others.
I think so.
So, Joy and or Patricia, do you want to unmute and tell us what type you are?
I did not see that I had that as an assignment, so I didn't do it. But based on what you were saying to Dorothy, um, as far as my shape, that I definitely have an overhang belly, and I've got that bubble butt, so I have that issue. Yes.
Right. So I want you to think about when you were younger and you were as close to your ideal weight as you've been in your life. Think about your shape then. Were you the same width, shoulders, hips with a narrow waist and smaller bones? Because to me, right now, with your weight gain, it looks to me like you might be more of an apple shape than a pear shape.
Mhm. Yeah, when I was the healthiest, um, I was kind of underweight at that point.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And actually when I did Weight Watchers for a while, they said I was like a binge eater, like because I was never hungry. And then I would eat, 1,500 calories in one sitting. Um, so that's always been an issue for me is I just am never hungry until I'm ready to be passing out and then I'll eat
Right.
something. Yeah.
Until you're
If that
overly
makes sense.
hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might be a T type. You can take the quiz later and then, figure that out and you will have information about all the types, but you might just see which one you're attracted to as I'm talking.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Patricia, did you want to share which type you are?
I'm confused on that because I do have the broader shoulders than the hips, and that I really don't have a belt overhang belly or anything like that.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
yeah, you don't have to worry about that. If you have
no,
broader shoulders and narrower hips, do you feel like your legs are pretty sturdy? Your legs have always been pretty muscular, sturdy, and
before all my back and leg issues.
exactly before you
Yes,
got sick.
yes,
So
yes.
you might be an adrenal body type.
That's what I was figuring. Yes.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, because the top half is bigger than the bottom half, but when I do gain weight, it is on the bottom half, but I don't have much of a butt.
Right. So that's another hallmark sign of that adrenal body type. So you may indeed be an adrenal type. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys some slides that I put together um, for another presentation that I was working on. And if anyone has any questions that you just feel like you can't go on and need to interrupt, by all means, interrupt, raise a hand, wave, whatever you need to do. And then also just know that I'm going to leave some time for questions at the end. And Cindy had also mentioned that it might be helpful if we took a break to stand. Is everyone ready to just take a brief moment and stand up, walk around your room just for a few moments before we sit down and finish the last half of the presentation? Great. I'm going to
Yeah.
stand with you because I've been sitting for a little while.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Oh,
I got my purple on today because we got to think about some of the people who are dealing with chronic illness. That's the bulk of my clients are dealing with a variety of chronic illnesses. So
And I'm glad everybody's here today. I know
yeah,
Fibromyalgia Awareness Day was a couple days ago, but I
I saw
figured we'd
that.
wear that the purple today since this is our meeting. So I always
Yeah,
honor it every day, not just for that specific day, by the way.
right.
Yes. So can everyone see my slide that shows the
Mhm.
name Dr. Elliot Abravanel? Okay, good.
Yes.
So this is the book. He wrote the book in the 80s. I typically don't recommend the book. And the reason why is because back in the 80s, we didn't know what we know now about nutrition. So what I'm going to tell you is how to eat. I'm going to make some food recommendations for everyone based on your body type. But if you go to Dr. Elliot Abravanel's book, which is great for talking about the body types, he just doesn't have great nutrition recommendations because back in the 80s, it was all, whole grains and uh, dairy and a lot of foods that we know now
Okay.
work for some people but don't work for everyone. So I'll be making some other nutrition recommendations. So these are the pictures that you guys saw from the quiz that show the thyroid body type here being rather a thinner type based on the fact that they have smaller bones. The pituitary type, no one in here is a pituitary type. It's not a very common type, so typically I don't get many pituitary types even in my practice. They tend to have more childlike bodies, larger heads, and not have very well-defined muscles. So they just have a different type. Here's the adrenal body type where they have broader shoulders, maybe narrower hips. But again, this drawing doesn't show that really ideally. So
Mhm.
sometimes in the quiz, it can be hard to see yourself in these drawings. And then the gonadal type is more of that pear-shaped where there's a lot more body below the waist than in the upper shoulders. And then with the men's body type, they have three types, the thyroid, pituitary, and adrenal. Cindy.
Mhm.
Oh yes, I just had a quick question. So
Yes.
am I the adrenal type or the G one that you just said at the end,
I
in your
think that
opinion?
you might be the thyroid body type.
Oh, the thyroid.
So
Hmm.
I think you might be same with shoulders as hips.
Okay.
And when the thyroid body type gains weight, they tend to gain it in their belly. So they
Yeah.
tend to, over time, as they gain weight, develop more of that apple shape.
Oh, yep, that makes sense. I think that's me. All right. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, I do think that that's what type you are. But pay attention to all of them and see which one you're attracted to as well. So what I've done, since some of these drawings are really hard to see what your type is I've pulled some celebrity photos to show the different
Ah,
types so that we can see some real bodies and see what they look like. And now these are people who are likely at their ideal weight so that we can see what that looks like. These pictures anyway. I think I have some pictures of the adrenal body type when the men have gained some weight. But what I also want to explain is that us thyroid body types, because that's what I am, we tend to be thinner. We have smaller bones. And like I said, if we gain weight, it tends to be in the middle area here. But in Chinese medicine, which both Dr. Dorninger and I have some background in, the Chinese medicine system describes the thyroid body type as a deficient body type. So the thyroid and
mhm.
the pituitary are considered deficient body types, and the adrenal and the gonadal body type are considered excessive body types. And what I mean by that is if you're a deficient body type and you get out of balance, you tend to become deficient. So you can very easily become underweight. Doesn't mean you can't gain weight and be overweight. But when you go to the doctor and you see that you're out of balance, you see you have low vitamin D, you have low cholesterol, you have low blood sugar, you're prone to hypoglycemia versus hyperglycemia. So you may tend toward deficiency syndromes, deficiency health states versus the adrenal and the gonadal type, which tend to be more excessive body types. So these are just some photos. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump and show you the photos of the other body types. Then I'm going to come back and talk about each one. So there's a bit of information about the thyroid. This is the pituitary type. So here are some people that have that more childlike body, larger head, smaller bodies, don't tend to be very well defined or muscular unless they spend a lot of time in the gym. And so you can see they don't have very well defined waist, so they tend to just kind of have a straight body. And these are some photos that show that pituitary type, which we don't have any in our group right now. Unless you're on the recording and you might be a pituitary type and then you want to hear what I'm saying. This is the adrenal body type, and the adrenal body type tends to have wider, broader shoulders, not much of a waist. They tend to be fairly straight in the middle of their body. And then they have narrower hips. And you can really see that on this picture of Hugh Jackman. He almost looks like a V shape, where his shoulders are broad, and that brings him down to rather narrow hips. Whereas in the thyroid body type, we just saw that they were kind of even and their hips were the same width as their shoulders. And with the adrenal body type being an excessive type, they tend to gain weight in the belly, but they also can gain weight on their back. So they may have more weight on the back and upper arms, but these men kind of show that overweight adrenal body type. Again, even Danny DeVito's got some weight around the middle, but he's got the broader shoulders and the tinier hips. And then I'm going to show the gonadal body type, which is only women. There is no male gonadal body type. And you can really see that pear shape where the gonadal woman or G-type woman has fairly narrow shoulders, but very wide hips, tends to have a larger butt. And this just gives you an idea of that pear shape when women are at or near their ideal weight. So because the T type is the most common, I'm going to start with it. And I've talked a bit about the descriptor of what the thyroid body type looks like. But now what I'm going to talk about with all of the different body types is I'm going to talk about what your metabolism is like as your body type. And so with the thyroid body type, our metabolism is on all day. And what that means is we need to feed our body regularly throughout the day. So Cindy, and I think Kathy, you said you were a thyroid body type as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the two of you, what I want you to keep in mind is that your metabolism is on the moment you wake up. And what's very important for you is not to delay your breakfast. So if you get up and get busy and get going and do this and do that before you start making a meal, you can really get hungry and
Right.
start to get that low blood sugar. So it's very important that you have your nice big breakfast, then 3 to 4 hours later, have a nice big lunch, then have a snack in the afternoon, and then in the evening, have a nice big dinner. Your
Wow.
meals need to be the same size. So breakfast actually needs to look like dinner. So, was it Mary Lou, were you thinking that you were underweight right now?
Well,
So
I am.
yeah, so you are, we're thinking you're a thyroid body type. So for you, what's going to be absolutely critical about gaining weight healthfully, you don't want to just put on a lot of fat, but you want to gain weight healthfully, is getting up in the morning and having a breakfast that looks like dinner. So
Hmm.
that means it needs to be very hearty. Thyroid body types need to eat animal protein at pretty much every meal. So, Mary Lou, your breakfast could have eggs, but when working as a nutritionist and I'm calculating how much protein people need, especially how much protein you need if you want to gain weight, you likely need a minimum of 20 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That would be a minimum. You might need a little bit more than that. And if that's animal protein, 2 eggs is only 12 grams of protein. So you might need eggs and some breakfast meat and some vegetables. So think about making like a dinner with some eggs if you like eggs. If you don't like eggs, then you can have breakfast sausage and vegetables. Maybe you have some kind of rice or gluten-free bread or, something like that to go with it. Maybe even a little fruit. But the downfall of us thyroid body types is our blood sugar tends to be a little bit more unstable. And that's why we need to eat breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner every single day. Get not only enough calories, but eating regularly. And our downfall is eating sugar, too much fruit, and caffeine. So, thyroid body types should avoid all caffeine, avoid sugar as much as possible, and have smaller amounts of fruit throughout the day. So little bit at breakfast, possibly a little bit at lunch, maybe some with dinner or a fruit dessert with dinner, but we're not focusing as much on fruit. Whereas like the gonadal body type, they do very well with fruit. And the reason why, and this is important to understand about the body types, is your body type as a thyroid or an adrenal or gonadal, that's your dominant gland. So Cindy, Mary Lou, we have, and Kathy, we have that dominant thyroid gland. And what overstimulates the thyroid is sweets and sugar and fruit and caffeine. So we want to stay away from what overstimulates our dominant gland, and we want to stimulate the other glands to more balance that, and the other glands get overstimulated by animal protein. So we need to stimulate our other glands with that animal protein. We tend toward low cholesterol, and we get that cholesterol from regularly eating animal protein.
How much?
So
Oh,
go
I have
ahead.
a question. How much, if you were looking at a piece of chicken or steak, animal protein, I know you said in grams, but
Yes.
how big visually would that be?
So if you memorize the equation, 1 ounce of any meat, poultry, fish, or seafood, 1 ounce is equal to about 7 grams of protein. So, Mary Lou, what I'm going to say for you is you need about 3 ounces of meat to meet your minimum of protein. So, 3 ounces times 7 would be 21. And I was telling you that your minimum would be about 20 grams of protein per meal. Now,
Wow.
you can overeat that minimum, and I encourage you to at least a little bit. It's not like it's a number you have to hit. It's you need to at least eat 3 ounces or a little bit more. Now, you may be getting protein from beans, nuts, seeds, grains, eggs, other food. But if, let's say, you're having dinner and the only protein you're having is from meat, then you would need a minimum of 3 ounces, which would be about the size of a chicken thigh. Chicken breasts tend to be 3 ounces, maybe even a little bit more. A steak, it really depends on the size. The palm of your hand size steak would probably be about 3-ish ounces, depending on how thick it was. Now, when you buy meat at the store, it'll tell you how many pounds and ounces that is.
Mhm.
So let's say you buy 4 chicken thighs and it is 16 ounces or pound. You bought a pound of chicken and it was 4 chicken breasts. Then you would just divide it by 4, pound by 4, and that would be each chicken breast would be 4 ounces because there's 16 ounces in a pound. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Got it. Okay. So you can look when you buy the meat to see how many pounds it is or ounces, and then if most of us here in this room need a 20, at least 20 grams for each meal, that's 3 ounces of meat. Or let's say you're a gonadal body type or an adrenal body type, and you guys do well with some plant proteins like beans and nuts and seeds. And both the adrenal body type and the gonadal body type do very well at lunchtime with salads with adequate protein on them, of course. So you might have a salad with your favorite vegetables on it, but then you might have some garbanzo beans or some kidney beans on it. You might have some nuts or some seeds, and that might give you, say, 10-ish grams of protein. Well, now you only need half as much meat. And you might have some salmon or you might have a piece of chicken, but it doesn't have to be huge because you're already having the beans, the nuts, and the seeds that are giving you some protein. So the
Mhm.
T type, those of us who are the thyroid body type, we need at least some animal protein. We do better with animal protein. And
Mhm.
then that adrenal body type and gonadal body type, the excessive body types, you guys do great with some plant protein, and you can err on the side of less animal protein.
I have another question, I guess, about what you said. So I'm sort of confused. The T type, meaning me and a couple
Yes.
others, you should have at least 3 ounces of protein each meal, or you said something about like 3 times 7 is 20.
So 1 ounce of any meat equals 7 grams of protein.
Oh, okay, okay.
So if you need about 20 grams of protein, that is equal to 3 ounces of meat. Based on that equation, 1 ounce is equal to 7 grams of protein.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
And I'm kind of, averaging that everyone here needs at least about 20 grams of protein per meal. But the adrenal body type, your metabolism is very different. So, Patricia, you as an adrenal body type, your metabolism doesn't get going in the morning. It doesn't need a lot of fat and protein in the morning. In fact, you don't digest fat and protein well in the morning. And so, what's better for you is you need to have breakfast, but it can be delayed. Doesn't have to be right when you get up in the morning, like the thyroid body type. And so, that adrenal body type, you can delay breakfast. You need a smaller breakfast, only about 8 to 10 grams of protein, and it doesn't need to be animals by any means. So a bowl of granola for you might be a good breakfast. Some yogurt and fruit might be a nice breakfast. So you need smaller, delayed breakfast, a moderate lunch. Remember, I said a salad with some good amount of protein on it would be a good lunch for you, but then dinner is your big meal of the day. So you as an adrenal body type, big meal of the day is dinner. That's when your metabolism is on. So would you agree with me and say, yeah, I'm not that hungry in the morning. I like to eat something small and I love a big dinner. Yeah, Patricia's nodding. She's like, yes, I'm an adrenal body type. That works for me. And if you want to comment, please just unmute yourself and I'm happy to
Yeah.
have you comment.
I forgot to do that, but yeah, because I'm not a big breakfast and lunch type person, but I do try to eat a big dinner. Yes.
And that's perfect for your metabolism. And do you like coffee in the morning?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yes.
it's not good for you to have more than, say, a big cup, but a cup of coffee, a cup of caffeine in the morning for you is okay with your adrenal body type. You just don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because yeah, I
Is
drink about 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning.
Right. So what may be happening for you when you drink the 2 or 3 cups is it's kind of turning off your appetite a little bit. And what you need to do is have that small breakfast and have a good amount of food. Doesn't have to be a big meal, but you do
Right.
need to have that lunch. And
Yeah.
probably the biggest recommendation that I can make for adrenal body types, and this goes somewhat for gonadal body types as well, is they often need to really increase the number of vegetables they're eating. So that's why having like soup or salad with a lot of vegetables in it is a really good lunch for you. And then at dinner, that's when your body is ready for more complex meals like fat and protein, like a piece of meat with some grilled vegetables, something else, whatever works for you there,
Right.
that bigger meal.
Right. Okay. I'll just because yeah, usually in the morning, uh, I have one of my fiber brownies that I eat, with my coffee, and then maybe a couple of Pop Tarts, and then I don't eat anything basically until supper time when I get my Meals on Wheels, and they give me fruit and
Sure.
veggies, and that kind of thing. So
So
yeah.
one thing you may want to put together is you've got your breakfast down, but you may want to put together a lunch for yourself. Get a little bit more calories, fuel, and some nutrients at lunch, and that might help you stay a little bit more even keel, might help your blood sugar balance a little bit more, so your brain is a little bit more well fueled throughout the day. So if you can figure out something for lunches, something that you can, put together pretty easily for yourself, that would be a good recommendation.
Okay, would that be now like a sandwich or something like that, or
You could do a sandwich, but the ideal lunch for you as an adrenal body type is a salad or soup, something with a lot of vegetables.
okay,
And then if you need 60 grams of protein, like most of us here, and you're only getting a little bit of protein at breakfast because that's right for your body type, now
okay,
you've got like 50 grams of protein that you need to get throughout the rest of the day. So if you're getting 25 grams of protein at dinner because of your Meals on Wheels, you still have 25 grams of protein you're missing if you skip lunch.
okay, all right,
So that could
okay,
be, you could take lunch meat that you would make a sandwich with, but
right,
you could take that lunch meat and put it on a salad, a bowl of vegetables. So vegetables, some meat, some beans, they can be canned beans. So you can just take some, if you like garbanzo beans or kidney beans on that salad. And then nuts, seeds, things like that. Just put that in a bowl with a nice dressing on it. That would be a really good midday meal for you to make sure you're getting those nutrients.
okay. Like say a chef salad at lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Cobb salad, mixed salad, chef salad, but a salad with meat on it probably to get enough
okay,
protein. Doesn't have to be
okay,
a lot of meat. And if you're adding beans and nuts and seeds that all contain protein, then you don't need as much meat.
okay, all
Then for
right,
that gonadal body type, and I haven't been advancing my slides here, but for that gonadal body type, what works for you is that your metabolism is low in the morning. You do not digest fat and protein well in the morning. And what is recommended for you for a breakfast in the morning is a bowl of seasonal fruit because that stimulates your thyroid and doesn't overstimulate your gonadal, your ovaries, basically, which are your gonads. So who was our adrenal, or sorry, our gonadal body type? Bob,
I
Me.
think it was
I'm a
Dorothy,
gonadal
wasn't it?
body
Yeah, it
type.
was. It was Dorothy.
Dorothy.
It's going to be Bob. Anyway, sorry.
Jimmy, he
That's
just popped it.
okay. That's all right. Bob, for
Hey,
you,
Erin,
did you take the quiz? Did you
no,
find out what your body type was?
I'm sorry. We joined late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And actually, Dan is trying to join it on
Yeah.
on her iPad, and it's just sitting and spinning. So she's using my phone right now.
It's working.
But
Okay,
thank you.
let me
You might need it for, oh yeah.
let me get you guys in here.
There we go.
Sorry, we had a
Thank
couple.
you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to invite you in. And I know you joined late. Did you guys do the body type quiz?
No, we didn't. Sorry.
Sorry, say that again.
No, we joined too late.
Oh, okay. All right. So then what you can take that quiz, understand a little bit about which body type you are, and then go back and listen to the recording. And what I'm explaining is kind of the metabolism of each of the types. And we've talked about the thyroid body type waking up likely with an appetite. Now, sometimes thyroid body types wake up in the morning, they're like, oh, no, I don't feel like eating. But that's usually because they have low blood sugar and they need to eat. So if you're the thyroid body type, remember, and Mary Lou, with you wanting to gain some weight, it's that big breakfast in the morning, big lunch at lunchtime, snack in the afternoon, and big dinner. And for Patricia, she's got the small breakfast, the salad at lunch. Adrenal body types don't need a snack. So you don't need a snack between lunch and dinner. And then you can just do your nice, hearty Meals on Wheels dinner at the end of the night. Then I'm explaining that the G type has a metabolism that does not get going in the morning. So their breakfast, it's recommended that they have a bowl of seasonal fruit anytime before noon. So it doesn't have to be right away. It can be delayed. They can have a cup of caffeine. That is fine for them. It's not overstimulating for their body type. Then again, very similar to the adrenal body type, having a light lunch like a salad. And then dinner is their bigger meal of the day. And the G type really needs to emphasize fruit, lots of vegetables, whole grain versus refined grains, healthy fats, and they don't really need to snack during the day. So that seasonal fruit in the morning will keep them stimulated and will keep their metabolism functioning. Then they eat a nice big healthy salad with lots of vegetables. And between lunch and dinner, that's their fat burning time. So it's good that they don't snack in the afternoon. So some of these recommendations for eating to support your metabolism are to help you manage a healthy weight or to lose weight. And this is really important to understand because eating in these ways help each of the body types to either maintain or lose weight because it's been proven over and over again that to reduce calories and increase exercise is not a good approach for weight loss because oftentimes that results in us not getting the calories that we need, not getting the energy, not getting the nutrients, and then we're not well fueled for our exercise. So we end up over exercising, over stressing our body. So we need to move in a way that feels good to us and eat in harmony with our metabolism. The one other thing I will say about the adrenal body type is too much red meat can overstimulate them. So they do well with chicken, fish, beans, nuts, seeds as proteins. The gonadal body type also can have some red meat, but that doesn't work as well for them. And the other thing that will overstimulate a gonadal body type is hot spices. So they need to avoid the hot spices, that gonadal body type. So that's a really nice overview of all the types. And now I want to give some time to some questions and answers. So if you've got either a question that's kind of personal to how you need to eat, or if you just have a general question about the body types, I'm happy to answer any.
Okay, Erin. Oh,
Yeah,
excuse me.
Patricia?
So now if I, rather than buying a chef salad, like if I buy a head of lettuce and I throw some uh, cut up ham or something like that on it with dressing and that would be a good lunch.
That would be an excellent lunch for you.
Okay. All right.
And if you can put some other vegetables on there, carrots don't go bad in the fridge very easily. So you could keep some carrots, you could keep some bell peppers and just chop a few of those and add those to your salad as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Who else has a question?
I did.
Yeah.
For the tea type, like you said, avoid caffeine, sugar,
Too much fruit.
and too fruit. Is that, and then you said that's affecting your blood sugar, or could you explain a little bit more about that? How is it affecting our body, the tea type?
Yes, sure. So as a thyroid body type, if you go too long without eating, if you skip a meal, if you eat too small of a meal, you are very prone to hypoglycemia, meaning low blood sugar. Mary Lou, do you ever notice that you get shaky or irritable or tired between meals? Like if you feel like you haven't eaten enough?
Well, I have some autoimmune conditions plus fibro, so all of them can cause fatigue. So, I mean, I can get tired, yeah.
But
Definitely.
but do you know what it feels like if you have low blood sugar?
I don't think medically I could say that I do.
Do you tend to eat very regularly throughout the day?
No, I eat whenever, I might get up late. I eat breakfast late. I eat, dinner maybe usually late. I eat lunch whenever, late. It's sporadic, sort of, so to
So
speak.
that might actually be the number one recommendation I have for you, not only to support your thyroid body type, but also to support you gaining weight. And that is to create a schedule, and your times of eating could vary because you may not be able to get up at the same time every day, but it's having that regular breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, when you eat caffeine or when you drink caffeine, that is overstimulating to your type. Your body, it tends to speed your metabolism. You go through your fuel more quickly, and that again can lead to lower blood sugar more quickly. So you may not be able to recognize when you have low blood sugar. So another thing that might be very helpful for you is to use a continuous glucose meter where you get and this may or may not be covered by insurance. If not, you can get coupons, and it's usually under $100 for two sensors. A sensor will track your blood sugar for 2 weeks. So if you get two sensors and just invest in that, it will show up giving you data as an app on your phone, and you just put the sensor on the back of your arm and it will track your blood sugar 24 hours a day. And you want to stay within a particular range, a healthy range. And what that sensor is going to do is it's going to tell you when your blood sugar goes low. And then you can start to realize, oh, maybe I'm getting tired at this time of day because my blood sugar is low and I need to eat. And that may help you to figure out how to have a hearty enough breakfast to get you to lunch without getting low blood sugar, to get you to your snack, and then to get to dinner, and keep that blood sugar in the proper range 24 hours a day. T types are super common that they don't eat enough food during the day, especially not at breakfast, and then their blood sugar goes low overnight and that wakes them up. So do you sleep well at night?
Well, I take a pill, muscle relaxant, which also aids in sleep. So it seems like once I take that, I'm pretty much out.
Okay. But if your blood sugar is going low and you just aren't aware of it because the pill is helping you to sleep, then what you're not realizing is there are times of the day that your brain isn't getting enough fuel.
Yeah, so because I wake up sometimes, I'm still tired.
Yeah. So you might consider that continuous glucose monitor. You might consider eating more regularly, eating larger meals, making sure you're getting 60 grams of protein in a day, and all of these things will contribute to you gaining weight.
Okay, but part of my question was the caffeine, and then you covered that, but then you said also sugar in a lot of
Sugar,
food. Is
yep.
that also affecting the metabolism?
Yes. So sugar there's two things that sugar is going to be a detriment, and one is the sugar is going to cause your blood sugar to go up, and then your insulin is going to go up, and when insulin goes up, then blood sugar tends to go down. So what happens when we eat sugar is we get a blood sugar rise, which might feel good at first. We might get some energy, our brain might come online, and we're like, oh wow, I feel great after eating that cookie or whatever it was. But then my blood sugar crashes and I get tired after that, or I get jittery, or I get hungry, something like that. And so those ups and downs aren't good for the body. And so sugar can be blood sugar destabilizing, and it can also fuel us in a way that we feel like, well, I ate a cookie, so now I feel pretty good. I don't need to eat lunch. But oftentimes, what happens with sugar, because it doesn't have any nutrients, then we're missing nutrients by not eating other foods.
Okay, sounds very good. Thank you. Good
Yeah,
explanation.
sure. Any other questions? Yeah, Cindy.
Oh,
Go ahead, Kathy.
Sorry, Kathy.
oh no, oh yeah. I'm on a medication for diabetes because my blood sugar tends to run high.
Yes. And
And
remind
even
me
though
which
I'm a
body type you are?
thyroid, a T
You're a
type.
thyroid and your blood sugar's running high.
Yeah. And it slows down digestion and suppresses the appetite. However, I do eat um, pretty soon after I get up. I mean, because I
Yeah.
do wake up hungry,
Yeah.
but I'm realizing that I'm not getting enough food during the day, and
Yeah.
then I want to snack at night, and
Yes.
and that's not good because then I turn around and wake up the next morning with the blood sugars a little higher
Too high.
than we
Yeah.
want to.
Do you
Yeah,
mind
so
sharing with me the medication that you're on?
it's a GLP-1. It's
GLP-1. Okay.
liraglutide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in play. The Ozempic is so cost prohibitive for me. But the liraglutide and the side effects for Ozempic were really tough to take. But the liraglutide is instead of once a week, a big chunk of medicine, it's a little bit every day. And I
Oh,
find
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm tolerating that pretty good.
Great. Well, let me just say,
But
Kathy,
mhm,
with a GLP-1, I'm very familiar with those medications. I work with a lot of
uh-huh,
people who are on them. So
mhm,
what's going to be important for you is to do your best to have as much food at breakfast as possible.
Okay.
So have a
Okay.
bigger breakfast and
Okay.
do your best to make sure that there's no sugar there.
Okay.
And if you can avoid even some refined grains like breads and things like that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
focus more on, meat and vegetables at breakfast, which I know for a lot of people is just like, oh my God, how could I ever even eat vegetables at breakfast? It just doesn't seem normal. But if you could
Right.
have more dinner for breakfast, have your
Okay.
breakfast look like that. Just eat the amount that feels good to you. And then at
Okay.
lunch, do the same thing. Have that kind of a dinner meal, but just eat as much as works for you. Then have a
Right.
snack in the afternoon and then
Okay.
have dinner by dinner time and after dinner. And you can still have like some dessert with dinner, but have it with dinner, not well after.
Right.
And
Right.
if it's fruit or something like that and doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say 3 or 4 days after getting into that pattern, it does not take long at all. You're going to notice that you have less of a snack craving after dinner. And if
Okay.
you could fast from after dinner, so let's say just don't eat anything after 7:30 p.m.
That's what I
And
try to
then
do.
when you
Yeah.
get up in the morning, you're going to have that appetite for breakfast and have that big breakfast and just kind of get into that pattern. Then I think
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to notice is you're going to notice that really supporting weight loss for you
Okay. Okay.
and less
Okay.
inflammation.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm trying to educate more about too is the inflammation. I've got
Yeah,
arthritis and it's flared up, but the liraglutide, even though it's a much smaller dose every day, it still really tempers my appetite, and that's why
it will.
w-
Yes, I'm
if I
familiar.
eat, yeah, if I eat a bigger meal like at breakfast or lunch. Well, I find it easy to skip lunch, to be honest, because I just get caught up in doing things or having appointments or going somewhere, whatever.
Avoid that
And
temptation. Have a
yeah,
lunch.
I see. Yeah,
So
I see
important for
that.
you.
Yeah, I see that now. So I'm really I've got a lot of food for thought from all your
Yes, absolutely.
information to have
Yeah,
a pun going.
Cindy.
Oh, first of all, I think we have another member that popped in, Jean,
Oh,
into the room. And then the other question I had for you is, well, actually two little questions. I have hormonal issues, so how do I reduce the sugar cravings? Like, what snacks are better substitutes? Like I'm trying not to eat too much candy and cookies and things like that. And do you
so
think people should, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, what time of day are you having cravings?
In the afternoon, usually mid-afternoon or late afternoon, and
And
sometimes in the
what
evening.
does your typical breakfast and lunch look like? Just a brief
Oh
description.
goodness. Sometimes for breakfast, I will eat eggs and a couple waffles and organic banana. Or sometimes I'll eat cereal or oatmeal and things like that. And then in lunchtime, I've been eating more protein, which is good because I think I wasn't eating enough protein back in months ago or something. I was like down to 136 pounds, so I was a little underweight, and I've been eating more chicken breast and tuna and things like that. So, and then with
Yes,
the sugar cravings, oh goodness, I need a better substitute than the cookies. But well, I don't eat them all the time, just,
sure.
one or two here and there, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, so the first thing that I recommend that you do is you start having dinner for breakfast.
Dinner for breakfast.
Yep, so you're gonna have meat and eggs and vegetables for breakfast.
Uh-huh.
And then you're gonna have your lunch, like with your chicken, your protein, whatever. So again, dinner for lunch. And then in the afternoon, you're going to have less cravings.
Oh, so the dinner for breakfast or dinner for lunch?
Both.
Oh, for both?
Y-
Okay.
What's really important for that thyroid body type is dinner for breakfast, dinner for lunch, snack, and dinner for dinner. So we need to eat that big hearty meal at every meal time and have a really good balance with, fat and protein and carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates being vegetables, maybe a little bit of fruit. It's not like we have to deny ourselves, but we just want to avoid that sugar. And when you do that, then that cuts down on the cravings. Part of the craving for sugar in the afternoon is you've had too much sugar or refined carbohydrates or fruit for breakfast. So you've had kind of a spike of sugar and then a crash. And
Okay.
so when your blood sugar goes low, then it's like, I need sugar.
All
So
right.
you want to turn that off by having a big hearty breakfast, a nice hearty lunch, and then in the afternoon, what you could do is you could have some um, oatmeal with, so some of the breakfast foods you were having that were a little too sugary, you
Mhm.
could have those for snacks instead of sugar. So you could have a little bit of oatmeal with some nuts and some blueberries in it, just a little cup, not a huge bowl. And
Okay.
then you could have your waffle, but put some nut butter on it. Or you could have some hummus and vegetables for a snack. Or you could have some apple and almond butter, something like that, a little bit heartier, not so sweet and sugary. And then when you get into 3, maybe 4 days down the road of having that big dinner for breakfast, you're going to notice you may still have an appetite for a snack in the afternoon, but you're not craving sugar.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And I think Jean popped in. I don't know if you wanted to ask her about what her body type is if she took the quiz.
Yeah, sure. Jean, did you get a chance to take the body type quiz beforehand?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you now. Oh, nope, she's muted.
Okay, I think you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Thank you for asking. Okay, I did take the quiz and I came up with 10 for the pituitary type and 7 for the adrenal. So it was the pituitary was the strongest with the adrenal close behind.
Okay, great. So this is interesting because we were just saying that the pituitary type is kind of a rare type. Not a lot of people are pituitary types. And let me go to my slides for the pituitary type. And so what we were saying about the pituitary type is they have a youthful or almost childlike looking body where they don't have a lot of definition. They tend to have less of a waist and have more of like a straight shot from their shoulders to their hips, and have kind of almost looks like they have an oversized head because they kind of have a smaller body. Would you say that that kind of fits a description of your body?
I don't know about the oversized head, but it's
Yeah,
just the waist has gotten really bigger in the abdomen in the last year. So that's why I kind of put into that one. Before, I didn't have that straight down um, figure,
got it.
but but I am having trouble with that midline
Yes,
expansion.
and that's, common for women to in our society to, as we age, have more challenges with maintaining that healthy weight. And so for you as a P type, in order to help with that um eating for your metabolism so that you can better support that healthy weight, and avoid weight gain is you have a very strong metabolism in the morning, and your pituitary body type, you, out of all the body types, do better with more animal protein. So a very meat-heavy breakfast works well for you. And you are prone to hypoglycemia the same way that the T types or the thyroid body types are. So you really require that substantial breakfast within an hour of waking, and you might even need some good starchy foods or vegetables to keep that blood sugar balanced until lunch. You do well with a nice, adequate, high protein lunch, and then your metabolism really drops off, and you typically need to limit your dinner to not very much fat and protein and having almost a snack-like dinner. So we
Huh.
were talking about, to Patricia, being an adrenal body type, she needs that kind of small breakfast with only like 8 to 10 grams of protein. So like a bowl of granola, or like avocado toast or avocado toast with an egg, something like that would be a small good breakfast for an adrenal type. Well, the pituitary type, that's the kind of dinner they need. They need a light dinner. So, because that just goes so against our society and our typical nutrition recommendations, I see a lot of pituitary types that they don't have much of an appetite at the end of the day, but they end up eating a bigger dinner because they eat with their family, and they're just used to everybody eating a bigger dinner. So, Jean, what feels good to you? Does it feel good for you to eat a bigger breakfast and a smaller dinner, or have you even experimented with that?
I do eat a big breakfast, but I usually eat oatmeal with almond milk and fruit and nuts. I do put nuts in there, but I do take my thyroid pill, first thing, so I have to wait an hour
Yep,
after that for my breakfast. And
yep.
sometimes I have eggs, but I don't know if the oatmeal would be considered enough
That
protein.
is not enough. That is not a good meal for a pituitary body type. So I'm going to recommend that you have eggs and meat and make it a big meal of the day. And we talked a little bit about earlier today about how much protein people would need. So you might shoot for like 3 ounces of meat at breakfast.
Now, I don't eat meat. I eat very little meat.
And what's the reason for that?
Um, let's see. Because I don't eat any red meat. I do eat chicken and fish, but
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure how I would go along with chicken or fish in the morning. But
Right.
what about would like avocado toast? That's not enough protein, right?
No, that is actually more along the lines of a dinner for you, because your
Okay.
metabolism drops off and it's not able to metabolize a lot of fat and protein at the end of the day. So that oatmeal or avocado toast or something would make a better dinner for you. And
Okay.
what's very interesting is what works well for the pituitary body type is they are built to eat more animal protein.
Oh
So
boy.
that's interesting that you avoid that. And it may be because you've heard that that kind of a diet might be healthier for you, or you may not like to eat animals, but you may experiment, maybe give yourself a month to experiment with eating more chicken, fish, even a little bit of red meat if you are open to experimenting with it in at breakfast, eating again a nice hearty lunch and getting enough protein, because you need to get your protein at breakfast and lunch if you're only going to have a small amount of protein at dinner. Like a bowl of oatmeal, even with nuts, is probably not even 10 grams of protein. And that's fine for dinner. but then you probably need 60 grams of protein in the day. So you're going to need like 25 grams at breakfast, 25 grams at lunch. And 25 grams of protein translates to be around 3.5 ounces of meat. So you might need 3.5 ounces of meat at breakfast, 3.5 ounces of meat at lunch, and then you can have that lighter dinner. And if you do that for a month, then I think what you could observe is you could observe what's happening with your weight, what's happening with your digestion, how does your body feel, and how do you feel with that routine versus doing the opposite, which was having the small breakfast and a bigger dinner.
And what about if I added almond butter or peanut butter to the oatmeal in the morning? Does that help at all?
So what kind of oatmeal? Is it quick oats? Is it thick cut
Well,
oats? Is it steel cut oats?
it's the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free organic
Right.
rolled oats
Yep. So
or steel.
yep. So that might have like 6 grams of protein in a bowl. Nuts are going to have 8 grams of protein per handful. So you probably have about 14 grams of protein with the oatmeal. Then you add some almond butter, and maybe you've got 20. But I'm telling you that your body type does better with animal protein.
Okay.
And so it would be an interesting experiment for you to have that lighter protein like the Bob's red mill oats for dinner, because your metabolism just cannot metabolize a lot of protein at the end of the day, and switch to having meat at breakfast and lunch for your protein.
Okay, that would definitely be a challenge.
It's definitely different because that pituitary body type is very, very different versus like what society says you should eat. You know, we typically think of that American breakfast, which has a lot of carbohydrates, which oftentimes isn't good for anybody. And then we have a light lunch and then we have a big dinner. But that's, you kind of need to turn that on its head and do the opposite.
And would this have any relationship to why I would wake up tired in the morning or have fatigue?
Yes, it could. Absolutely. You may not be getting enough protein overall, and your body type does better with animal protein, and you might need that animal protein to build muscle, fuel your exercise. Um, and you might also be having some hypoglycemia from not eating a big enough breakfast, and hypoglycemia makes people tired.
Okay. And then I do have a salt craving usually in the evening for salty crackers or whatever.
Would you say that your salt craving might also be a craving for crunchy?
Um, um, it could be, but and it's also for flavor. Like if I have a cracker that has onion and garlic in it, I'm very happy.
Got it. So you could focus on some crackers, you know, as part of dinner, because remember, dinner will be really light. But what I would say is if you're craving flavor and salt, I, I would be interested to see if that would calm down a little bit if you had a hearty breakfast with plenty of animal protein and had a lot of flavor, like making a dinner for breakfast with a lot of flavor.
Okay. Okay. Definitely a lot of food for thought. Thank you.
Yes, very interesting. The pituitary body type, not very common, and they tend to crave high fat foods, and they need to avoid super high fat foods except for at breakfast. And
And with
caffeine will really overstimulate your body type as well. Are you drinking any coffee?
no, but I do eat um 70% dark chocolate and 85.
A little bit of that dark chocolate is probably fine, but again, you probably want to have that at breakfast or lunch.
Okay.
I
Okay.
know, isn't that weird?
It is definitely weird. And what about the runner-up being so close with the adrenal type kind of as a follow-up?
Yeah, what I can see of you, even shoulders up, I get a sense that you might be a pituitary type.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would love to hear, you could even send it through Cindy. If you do a month-long experiment with eating like your pituitary type and just see what happens, I would be very interested to hear how you feel after that experiment.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give it a try. It'll be kind of odd though when my husband's eating dinner and I'm eating oatmeal.
Exactly. And you're having a snack. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Any other questions?
I just had one more question for you, Erin.
Yeah.
For my body type, I have to have I have follow a gluten-free anti-inflammatory FODMAP diet. Is that okay, or do I have to limit those diets or not even
And
use
what's
them?
your body type?
The thyroid?
Yeah, I am a thyroid body type and I eat a gluten-free, dairy-free diet as well. So definitely I support you to eat the foods themselves that work for you. Gluten-free works fine with thyroid body types. So absolutely eat the foods, choose the foods that work best for you, but just eat them in that thyroid body type pattern, which is, dinner for breakfast, dinner for lunch, dinner for dinner.
I had a question, but you may have just answered it, if
Yeah.
that's okay for me to ask a question now.
Oh,
Unless,
absolutely.
okay. I was going to ask you what you thought about dairy, because there are doctors that are definitely against it, especially for adults. So obviously you practice dairy free for yourself, so I'm assuming that you think it's not good. And is that the case? And if so, what could you replace it with?
Sure. So I my personal philosophy is that I want people to eat as varied a diet as they possibly can with as many foods as possible, especially varied vegetables, because our microbiome, our gut really loves different vegetable fibers. But some people can digest dairy and some people cannot. Some people can eat dairy
And me
without an
attack.
inflammatory reaction, and some people cannot. So if you can't digest it or it causes an inflammatory reaction, then I'm going to recommend that you, as my client, would eliminate it. And sometimes the way to figure that out is either to do a food sensitivity test or to leave dairy out for 3 weeks and then add it back in, a serving at every meal on a particular day when nothing else has changed and you're feeling pretty good. And if you stay feeling good for the next 48 hours after reintroducing dairy, great, then it's probably fine in your diet. But if you notice any change in your health, either some symptom pops up that you weren't expecting, you feel like a headache or a stomach ache or something like that, or a current symptom that you're having worsens, like you have joint pain every day, but it's pretty mild, but on that day when you add the dairy back in, it really worsens. Or if you just feel like, oh my gosh, someone pulled the rug out from under me and I just feel like I have to sleep, any of those things happen on the day when you reintroduce the dairy, then I would say those are signs it isn't working for you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I do have it, and I haven't noticed. I don't think I have any, adverse that I
Sure.
know. So,
Yeah, so you may not, and then it may be healthy for you. And if you really want to know whether it's working for you, is that 3 week experiment could be a way of figuring that out for sure. And then if you find that it doesn't work for you, what I replace dairy with is I make sure that I'm getting plenty of calcium from my vegetables, from like my leafy greens, and also seeds, like sesame seeds are really high in calcium. So I make sure that I'm getting calcium from other foods. And then just for enjoyment, I make a lot of my dairy-free foods with coconut milk. So I'll
Okay.
use coconut milk for recipes, like soups and stews and things that I would normally be adding like cream or dairy to. I would just add coconut milk to, and then I might put almond milk on my cereal, something like that. And for butter, I use a lot of coconut oil. I sometimes might soak cashews and make like a cream out of that for like a dessert or something. So there are recipes that I can find that use quite a number of different things to replace dairy. There are actually a couple, there's a lot of them out there that have a lot of kind of not so great ingredients, but there's actually a couple of pretty good cashew milk cheeses out there as well. So I will even occasionally use a what I call fake cheese on crackers, say, and enjoy that. And I have not done well with dairy for a long time, so I haven't eaten dairy for over 30 years.
But isn't coconut a saturated fat?
It is, and their saturated fat does get a bad rap. And I don't think that it's as harmful as it's been made out to be. And if someone is worried about heart health, if you have had a heart scan, that can help you to identify whether you have plaque in your arteries. And if not, then really saturated fat is not an issue.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just had one other question, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of
Okay.
course.
You did say like my type, the T type,
Yeah,
their cholesterol is low, but of
tends to
all,
be.
but yeah, mine isn't. I mean, the last I knew it was like 220, and my doctor will say, it's over. So,
Yes, so I am in alignment with Dr. Dorninger's recommendations for cholesterol and heart health, and he may have talked about that to your group. But when it comes to cholesterol, especially thyroid body types, and especially as we get older, slightly higher cholesterol is not an issue. If you don't have heart disease, if you don't have plaquing in your arteries, then your cholesterol number is really not that much of a problem. 220 is really only 20 points above 200, which is considered normal.
uh-huh.
Up until 1975, 280 was normal.
Wow.
And they
Wow.
lowered it when statins got very popular.
Mm.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't necessarily think it was a good thing to lower it from, I think it was 270, 280 to 200. And we know that people who have heart attacks and die don't have higher cholesterol. Just as many people with normal cholesterol as have heart attacks as higher cholesterol. So it's not cholesterol, but it's do I have heart disease? And
Mm.
so what Dr. Dorninger's recommendations are, there is a technology called a heart scan. It's an electron beam tomography scan, less radiation than an X-ray. You can do it with your clothes on, so it's not difficult to do. You do have to do it outside of insurance. Most of them cost about $100, and it gives you what is called a calcium score, and that's how much
Mhm.
calcium and plaquing is in your heart arteries.
Mm.
If you get
Mhm.
a 0 calcium score, then especially as women, I would not worry a moment about your cholesterol number.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And sometimes
Mm.
cholesterol can go up because of inflammation.
Mm. I have
Right.
So,
that.
Right.
yeah, so we really just need to temper things. We need to know what our true risk of heart disease is and not worry so much about fat, saturated fat, animal protein, especially if we're, choosing pasture-raised chickens and grass-fed meats. That can be very healthy for a thyroid and pituitary body type.
My dad had angina or angina. I always never know how it's pronounced.
I know, I'm the same. I don't know either.
That I always have that kind of in my mind, but
Yeah, so that means you might have some risk of heart disease in your family, which could pass to you. But once you get that heart scan, then, you know,
yeah,
you have it answered for yourself. Did I inherit that or not? Do I
yeah,
have an issue with that or not? And there's a lot that you can do to prevent having any issue, even if you've started plaquing in your arteries a bit.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I
And
got
I
a real
guess,
quick one.
oh yeah, sure, Kathy.
Oh, okay, real quick. I caught you saying that you had cereal, and I'm curious what kind, because I'm a big cereal fan.
Right. So someone else may have said that they have cereal. I will sometimes recommend a grain-free granola
Oh, okay, okay,
as a cereal. And for a thyroid body type like you, Kathy, the way that I
right.
would eat cereal would be on the side with dinner. So dinner
Oh,
for
okay,
breakfast, dinner for lunch, dinner for dinner. If you want some cereal, have your, let's say your breakfast meat, your eggs and your vegetables, and then just have a
right.
little side of cereal of like a grain-free granola, maybe a little
Oh,
yogurt, some blueberries, something like that. And that is
okay.
kind of the way I feel about it is like that's almost dessert in a way, but it's kind of
Yeah,
nice to have something a little sweet for breakfast. So
okay,
that little bit of
okay.
grain-free granola with some blueberries could be a perfect side to that dinner for
Uh-huh.
breakfast.
Yeah, okay, great. All right, thank you.
But it's when that becomes the focus and that's the only thing you're having for breakfast.
Mm-hmm,
It's not enough protein. It's probably too
mm-hmm,
much sugar. It's probably too much fruit. Then we've kind of swung to the other direction, which is it's not hearty enough for us T types.
right. Okay, I get that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, wow, this was great, Erin. I don't know if you wanted to speak till
Oh,
three
I'm so
o'clock.
glad. Yes, I wanted to thank you guys for having me. It's really fun. I
Oh,
enjoy talking to people, answering questions. And if anyone has further questions, I do have a private practice. You can either work with me as a client, or if you just have some questions, I work that way as well. We could just set up a little Q&A time. But I hope that this was helpful to you. You learned something about your metabolism, and please experiment with your body type and the recommendations. And I thank you so much for
Hey,
allowing me into your group.
hey,
Yeah,
Erin, can I ask
Bob.
you one
Yeah.
Okay.
question?